if it's gonna be good and you always deliver, take your time.
I think it was $60.
R.I.P. Anthem. I'll never forget you.
For a game that is almost like a DLC.
If you want to knock off the roster, that means you compete with Apex, you compete with Fortnite, you compete with Call of Duty Warzone.
Hello, hey everyone, welcome in. Welcome to the Melanin Gamers podcast. It's your hostess with the mostest, creatively Anzi, and I'm here with In the Dark.
What's up, guys?
Obsidian Fury.
What's going on, gang?
And Zen.
Bonjour.
And today we are talking about why
Some girls, yeah? Some girls fail.
What's wrong with you, Zen? Can I talk? Why some games fail at launch. We're looking at you, Concord, and we're looking at you, Anthem. Fortunately, some of these games just crash and burn off rip. I'm talking when the first day you get them is already curtains. I'm going to go to you, Obsidian Fury, as to why you think this.
Well, it's very simple. The games nowadays are not made to last. If we look at and this is something that's been happening for a very long time. We look at games like Assassin's Creed Unity when that came out, and I really like Assassin's Creed Unity, but the bugs were just diabolical. We can talk about the AAA games that are absolutely devious, but some of the games that have come out, there's two different discussions. There's the discussions of the actual game itself being unplayable. For me, that game that takes that crown is going to be Battlefront 2. From EA and DICE, where during the height of the loot boxes and how predatory that game was, I just that was the point for me where I was there is no way. I love Star Wars, but there's no way in God's green earth I'm ever buying this game. You can't convince me. And so that's from that's the corporate greed side. And then there's obviously from the developers side, we're looking at Marvel's Avengers, where it just felt like I was in a sandbox simulator just running around in the open. And then there's obviously Battlefield 2042 didn't have a great launch. Ghost Recon Breakpoint, the NFT scandal made sure that it didn't have a good launch. Redfall was damn.
Wait 1 second, I just want to. Zen, do you remember I convinced you guys to get Ghost Recon?
That was actually diabolical.
Don't even remind me of that stupid game.
Yeah, that's
I thought that game was going to be so good. I was like, everyone get this.
I tell you this every single time I tell you, don't buy this game. You say, no, I know better than you, Alan. I will buy this game. And then every time you're proved wrong without.
No, not every time. Relax. First of all, not every time. Relax.
What game
and I just want to say caveat, the Assassin's Creed Unity, I got a bug-free copy. That copy I received was beautiful and lovely. I played that game.
Okay, that's nice, but that doesn't change the fact of what I said. Assassin's Creed Unity, because it's one person doesn't make a game sale, right? It's everybody has to get a game.
People who got bug-free copies. The only thing I will agree with you is Anthem. I got done dirty by Anthem. They were
you got done dirty by loads of things. Your Assassin's Creed stand is not letting you see the very obvious that Assassin's Creed Unity was a buggy game in the beginning. Okay. Same with don't get me started on there's loads of games that's corporate greed, and there's other games which is just buggy as hell. Redfall for me was probably one of the biggest disappointments of recent time for me, where I think about that game.
That was surprising considering it was Bethesda as well.
No, it was during the COVID years, because Bethesda does do good work, but it was during the COVID years where people had to go indoors and not see the light of day. That game got put into a production hell, and what was promised, the Bethesda standard that we're used to, just came and flopped, because Bethesda have bangers, make no mistake. They have bangers. And that was meant to be another banger, but because of how badly it was buggy and how so many glitches, it just failed. And that was one of my biggest disappointments, because I was looking forward to Redfall. When I saw that black woman with the hair, I'm like, this is my new waifu. That's where I was at. That's where my mind was. I was like, I can't wait to play her. All the characters are unique. Everything was slapping. And then I got that piece of crap, and I'm like, I will never again be fooled. I will never again be fooled. So, and then there's other games where they just had a marketing nightmare. So one game that comes to mind is Battleborn, because of recently there's a new game called Deadlock, and it feels like Battleborn, but just not recolored. I shouldn't say that, because it's very much a MOBA game, but the MOBA elements are there, but it's different enough to be its own game. So I take it back. But Battleborn was what was meant to be what Deadlock is now, where they decided to compete with Overwatch, and they said that, oh yeah, we're gonna release on the same day as Overwatch, and Overwatch just blew out the park, and no one actually remembers that game. So I remember the day they turned off the servers because no one was playing it. So there's multitudes of reasons. It could be marketing, it could be corporate greed. It could be development like hell. So there's many reasons why.
I get that. There's loads of different reasons. I think sometimes releasing a half-baked game where it's like the vision of the game is not really clear because everything looks kind of shiny. Like I will cite Anthem as an example, but it was just like, where is the game? Where's the plot? You know, it was like being able to fly those mechs. You felt like Iron Man. But in terms of like the storyline, I couldn't tell you what the storyline is now. And I played that game, and I was just like, where's the rest of the game? The game felt like a shell, and I was like, why did you release a shell, but still have it as full price?
Yeah, that's diabolical. That's actually diabolical energy.
It's crazy, you know. And I think that like, in terms of the corporate greed side, and maybe it's also the vision of the game, because Anthem as an IP, I really feel like maybe someone else needs to buy it or something. I don't know.
No.
I still have hopes that we can get Anthem back.
No, you have to let it go. Like there's certain games that like, okay, see, you're still young. That's why there are certain games you just need to let it go. You need to let it go. You need to just accept that they'll never come back. Like one of my games I'll forever hold on to is Evolve. 2016 from 2K and Turtle Rock Studios. That game is a banger. It won like 18 awards, okay? But then they messed it up because of the not loot boxes. I think it was DLC, the DLC hype. Just that's what you need to do. The only great thing about Anthem was its movement mechanics, was the traversals and like how you were flying in the world. That was like Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man, I don't actually do any story missions in Spider-Man. I can just be in the world, swinging from point to point, and I'm having fun. That's what Anthem was. It was me flying around having fun. But the gameplay loop in and of itself wasn't there. That's why it failed so easily. I mean, so quickly.
But I also, like Concord, for example, that game was barely released before it already got shut down. I think it probably has the world record for fastest launch and deceased in gaming history. It was like, wait, what? Concord is barely out. It's already gone. I don't even know what happened there.
Anybody who played the game knew exactly why it got closed down. Like, with respect. If you played the game, you know exactly why it was going to get closed down. Because
I think maybe they were trying to be too many different things. It was a mix of Overwatch. It was a mix of this. It was a mix of that. But what really was it? It was too many. It was trying to be too many different things that it didn't have any identity. And so people are just like, which might have actually been good, because sometimes I like a game that it's a bit of this, is a bit of that.
I think that a game for everybody is a game for no one. So,
exactly, yes, facts.
So, and I don't mean that in a mean way.
Please everyone.
No, man,
say it as it is. Say it.
Hold on.
Say it with
Please
chest.
everyone.
Say it with chest.
Oh my gosh.
You
Stand
can't
on
please
business.
everyone. Stand on business. You're here to make money, not to please everyone.
I agree that so Concord is like the sum of loads of things that are going wrong with I believe it was PlayStation that published it. PlayStation, when I say we as if I'm PlayStation CEO, PlayStation is known for its like narrative, single player, very focused games, and they haven't done any single player narrative focused games. So a lot of the games that are coming out are just not up to standard. That's all it is. When we look at the only good one that's come out from Sony currently is Helldivers 2. That's the only one that came out. Even then, that went through some shenanigans. When it first launched, people were like, because there were so many people coming in, they had to readjust the servers, which we're thanking God that they did. But then their tuning balance was also a problem. And I don't know if you guys remember the Helldivers 2 controversy. So with the Sony getting retracted and that kind of thing. So there was Helldivers 2 is the only PlayStation live service game that's come out that's actually done well. That's actually got a fan base. And even then, it's still struggling because of the balances that the developer team has done over since its release. So I'm not surprised that Concord didn't make it at all, because one, this is not what PlayStation is known for, and two, they've only succeeded like once or twice, and even then those 1-2 times is very much lightning in a bottle moments, not like we released a game and it did particularly well. Now I could be wrong because I have to go look at my PlayStation like publishing, but there's certain like the live action service games, people only have like space for like 1 or 2. So if you want to knock off the roster, that means you're competing with Apex, you're competing with Fortnite, you're competing with Call of Duty Warzone. That's who you're competing with. So you better come correct. Otherwise, people will forget you as fast as what you call it, as it took to develop you. And that's just how it goes, especially in the live service aspect of the industry.
But then maybe it's an issue of people and their too high expectations, you know?
Yeah.
Well, back in the days when we used to really ride for a game and we'll wait it out through like patches and things like that.
Mhm.
Nowadays, if you don't impress me on the first day, and I will cite Cyberpunk
Yep.
as an example, that game could have been bigger than GTA, but the launch, people are very unforgiving these days. But to be fair, Cyberpunk, they did bring it back with their DLC. They were able to bring it back a lot, significantly, but even then, not to what it should have been, what it could have been.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's a thing where we're getting so many games now. It's just like, oh no, you didn't impress me with the first 10 minutes. Bye. What? Previously, we would wait stuff out. Sorry, go on, Zen.
But I was just gonna say exactly what you were just going on to. Waiting. I think you can say that high expectations, but then on the other side is the greed of them just churning anything out. That's the main thing. So our expectations are high because of the games that were of the past. Like, for example, Halo. The Halo storyline is forever going to be a classic. And to today, Halo, and this is what I mean about games that like are ahead of their time and can fit in terms of here. Halo still, and it's been cited, is one of the few games from then till now that has some of the most incredible physics and graphics. The ragdolling in Halo, the way that the way that things used to interact with how you could throw a sticky bomb onto a flying Banshee, like those are things that games can't get right now. Even down to like how, for example, like everyone used to love playing SWAT on Halo because of the headshots. That's what it was for about, like getting headshots and then the head exploding and stuff like that. Obviously, you can tell that I'm a Halo fan, but even Splinter Cell, very good game development, character development. I remember Lambeth, like I remember those people, Grimsdatter. I remember those people, like. The character developments were so good on those games that yes, if they told me that one of that same level was coming out, I would happily wait for it. That's why Rockstar, I can't be mad at them that we've had the game for how long. If it's gonna be good and you always deliver, take your time.
Take your time.
Because then the money will
I agree, but I also disagree because there's also the aspect of Rockstar is like an anomaly. Rockstar, they've released what 5 games in like the entire span, like in their entire lifetime. So they've very much got a corner on the kind of gameplay that we expect from GTA, right?
Whereas but why can they do that? But why can they do that? This is what the money that's generated allows them to be able to do that.
A lot of people think that the size of the studio in comparison to the game is too big, so it's bloated. If that makes sense.
Okay.
So
could we say here? Would you rather a COD every November? There's a different COD where you're gonna dislike 3 of them, like 1 of them, or would you like it where there's a gap where it's like COD every 2 years, and there's content for those 2 years till the next one comes and developed? Which one would you prefer?
So quality over quantity.
Yeah.
That's essentially what you're asking. Quality over. I always prefer quality over quantity. That's without a shot. I think most people do. But I'm also of the mind of if we don't have games coming out, the regular person, because we're like gaming. Actually, I don't want to like sound like big-headed, but we're like gaming enthusiasts. We love games to the point where we're like talking about the industry, but I'm talking from the average player. The average player is not keeping up with publishers. They're not keeping up with developers. They're keeping up with game names. And just like any kind of TV show or like movie franchise, like if you don't release something, people will forget about you. So imagine if the Dark Knight saga was released over a 10-year span. Do you think it will still have the same impact that it has now?
Yeah, I think it would.
I don't think.
I think it would. I think it really depends. Like, look at Last of Us. Last of Us 1 and 2. It's still, people were talking about it like it was crazy. If you release I think that sometimes we are our own problems because we want these amazing games, but we want them at our own timeline.
Yeah.
To create something that's amazing and wonderful, like a diamond, that takes years and years and years to actually, but I want this instantly. Well, if you want something that's amazing, you're going to have to wait for it to be amazing, So I think people will wait for a game. They will. They have to, in fact. So this rush is born of greed, not of people. It's born of greed and not people, because at the end of the day, Rockstar is showing you guys that they will wait. Naughty Dogs is showing you that they will wait. These games are showing you that, look, they're going to wait for this game. So take your time. This crunch, all this sort of culture, that's born of you guys wanting to line your pocket immediately. Not because you want to service the players. That's not the motivation for this. It's not because, they're going to forget, no. You just want to make sure that you get your 30 million bonus at the end of the year. That's why you're doing this.
I get it. So I'm not disagreeing with you. I do think that corporate greed, when it comes to the release of games, plays a massive part, and especially I think Western developers are really bad at that, especially with the big dogs. They're really bad at gauging the players and that kind of thing. So, and I'm in full agreement, but I'm also of the mind of, from a purely marketing standpoint, the reason why GTA 6 is an anomaly, Rockstar is an anomaly, because that is just not the gaming industry today. And if you want to keep up with the gaming industry today, you can't afford to try and make yourself an anomaly. You have to just follow the trend.
No, but who makes it's like people saying people are mean. The world is mean. The world is made up of what we're doing, right? If you guys, the big guys at the top, these really giant industry companies, all of us are going to release a game every 3 years. What could you actually do about it? Nothing. You can't do anything about it. They'll release a game when they'll release a game. They have the power to change the industry. They do have that power. The reason why they're not doing it is because of greed. That is why. They're saying, we have to keep up with what times? You guys control this whole game that we're doing. If you didn't want to release a game, you can't release a game. We don't have access to that game. And that's it. End of story. If they wanted to release a game when they want to release it, they'll do it.
Is what you're saying. I get what you're saying, Obsidian. Like, you're talking about like the finances and whatever, but it's the short term. It's a short-term greed. Like, at the end of the day, yes, you need to make money, but at the end of the day, it's a short burst of money. It's like, when we're going back to cinema, they're always saying that the box office, this is the budget, and this is what we want it to be, like opening weekend, then DVD sales and stuff like that. Like, a lot of these game companies are just like, first day sales, then it drops off. It's going to drop off massively because we don't care. We just got that little injection of money. And this is what I mean about, and what Anzi's saying, it's a short-term world in terms of short-term greed and finances. Like what we were talking about with people like Last of Us, GTA, the reason why they can take their time is because the money generated back over a long period of time allows them to have that time. And that's what I'm trying to say. If you're trying to also be on top of everything in terms of that, and trying to obviously keep the lights on, as you said, then you need to look at it as in terms of that. A lot of it is laziness. We can't be bothered. Just churn something out because we feel that the consumers already were a household name. They don't really care, which is running off of when they used to, because you got to remember, the space between games wasn't as frequent as it is now. Back in the day, we had to wait for games and they became a household name. Like, think about it. A lot of the people are still on COD because of Soap, all of those people back in the days where the storyline spoke loud, and then the PV, like the storyline was good, but then the PvP was there as a thing, and that just became okay. That's what we're gonna run with. So I feel that the companies in general, even if you're trying to think of it as in like, let me make money, that's the way you need to think of it. Take a year. And most gamers, and even casual gamers, if there's a game that my friends are like, because I'm not gonna lie, I get sick of it. Like, that's why I've stayed with Apex, because we come in, this game is sick, let's get the friends on and whatever. Then one by one, we all start to drop off because there's no content, and that's the reason why you can go to GTA. Why is GTA nearly a 10-year-old game? Think about it, like. MG, like, it's been around longer than MG, longer than some of our friendships with people and whatever. It's still got 30 people on the server. It's still having new people because it's an outdated system, but because it was done so well, it still can fit into now.
I agree. There's a lot of corporate greed within this industry, and a lot of it is influencing the timeline of certain games. That is influencing how well these games are going to perform when it comes to the marketing, when it comes to the PR, and also the actual development of the game. I'm in agreement with you, but what I'm saying is a lot of these big companies, they have to churn out these. I say churn out. They have to publish these. They have to release these games because they have so many people under them. That's why so many games. That's why. So it's like if they don't do that, if they do these year-long things, that means they're gonna have to go through a downsize. And we all hate when the industry has to go through a downsize where they have to reduce all these kinds of things. And I'm okay. And when I say that, I'm saying that as like if I'm a greedy businessman, I would downsize my company if I'm being honest, because if I want to keep my paycheck, that means I have to downsize. Whereas I could go another way where okay, this is the communist to me, where I'll be like, oh, I'll sacrifice my bonus and maybe give it to the lower ranks to maintain job security. So I get what you guys are saying about the corporate greed, but I'm saying that's just how the business, and at the end of the day, it is a business. That's how the business is ran. So unless you want to take over as CEO, that's all we're gonna see. So that's all I'm saying. So I'm not surprised. I disagree with it, but I'm not surprised that this is happening.
All right. Well, I think we're definitely at time, and I feel like in the dark. Did you? What did you make? Whose side are you on here?
There is no sides.
Do you want to in Fury? He just called himself a commie.
To be honest, I don't.
That's a wild statement.
I'm on the side of the gamers. I'm on the gamers side. Well, for me, when you look at a good game, you look at certain things. You look at the lore of the game, story. You look at the mechanics, visuals, character design, and then you look at the money aspect. Whether if he has less microtransactions, if it's pay to win, and all these things. You look at all these things. For Concord, I was disappointed when it came out as a hero shooter game. When I saw it, I'm like, okay, Sony's bringing out a single player banger, something like that. And I look, I'm like, yo, we already have, how many hero shooter games do we have? Like a lot. You don't need to come compete with these people. Everyone knows Sony is the king of like when it comes to single player kind of games and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You could have just made it that way and easily just bang. But they had to go the whole hero shooter route, and the visuals were bad. Beyond mechanics, the visuals were bad. Character design were bad. We've all seen YouTube. We've seen people redesigning their character, and they look much better than what they did. A part of that could be the fact that some of these less quality games we're getting could be the fact that maybe they're stretched out too thin. You have one person being involved in maybe 3 projects. Whereas that person's ability could have just been for one project, and then they'll bring out a good game. It could be that. I'm just spitballing. It could be that. It could be the fact that, like you said, greed. Greed is one thing. They just want to keep being relevant and everything. But what they forget is if you have a good game out there, it doesn't matter how many years you stay out of the scene. People are still going to remember you. Look at God of War. God of War came up in. I'm talking about the new one, the one on the PS4, and then this thing came out.
Ragnarok.
No, I'm talking about the one before Ragnarok. It came out 2018. It took them about 4 years before they brought out the next one. They didn't just bring out the next one like the previous year or the year 2 years time. It took 4 years, and they brought out something good, which I think that in those time you can bring out DLCs to keep people busy and stuff like that. Because now you should know that there are other games out there that have set the bar. Now you have Eastern developers setting like the bar, putting it way up there that Western developers now had to look at. I'm looking at you, Black Myth. I'm looking at you. So if your game comes out, it's lacking in some of these things. Where Concord failed on that front, Anthem also failed on that front. Where you pay, I still haven't played Anthem. I think it was $60.
R.I.P. Anthem. I'll never forget you.
For a game that is almost like a DLC. Yeah, you paid that much for a DLC, as opposed to have been getting. They didn't make use of some of the unique visual, the unique mechanics they had. For example, the flight system in there could have been used in so many ways. It could have been used in so many ways. They used the normal defend, capture come on, they could have done so many other things.
True.
They could have done a lot of things. The law, if I gathered, you have to literally pause the game to read something somewhere in order for you to understand the law. Whereas when you look at some other games, the law is through dialogue. You have people talking, you have cutscenes, you have cinematic going on, something going on to keep the people interested in what is happening. And I think also the reason is some of these companies try to please everyone. You can't please everyone. You either please the majority of people that have been putting money in your pocket, or you please the lesser side. You can't have
hardcore
both.
fans.
Yeah, you can't have both. When it comes to keeping the lights on, feeding yourself, your family, whatever, you have to please what the majority of people are asking for. And that is where most of these game studios fell short. They did not listen to what the gamers were saying. They did not pay attention to feedback. They just roll with it like, okay, this has to be in. Not everything has to be in a game too. Anything you put in a game should be relevant to the game, whether story-wise, mechanics, something. It needs to be something that adds on to the game, not rather something that can be ignored. If it can be ignored, there's no need for it in the game. But if it's something that's going to add up onto the game to make it better, then yes, you can add that to the game. When it comes to bugs can be fixed. That's what Cyberpunk did. Cyberpunk fixed most of its bugs, and then people just said, okay, yeah, it was actually a good game. It had a good storyline, everything. People were like, okay, I would wait for them to fix the bugs. But if you come with a game and the lore is bad, character design is bad, map bad, everything is bad.
Yeah, but I agree, but
wait, hold on. We are way over time here. Obsidian Fury.
So yeah, I think for me that's I'll make it simple. That these are the points.
I get that, and you're right that there are some games that have brought it back. I think Square Enix brought it back when they did Final Fantasy. That was released a bit dodgy, but they brought it back with Final Fantasy: A Realm Reborn. So they can bring it back. They can have a bad launch and still bring it back, especially if you have a solid fan base. But if you're always continuing disappointing your fan base, then there's zero trust. Yeah. So yeah, that's literally my 2 cents. I will add Anthem. I'm just still holding out.
Let it go. Let it die. Let it die. You need to let it go.
Not. But yeah, thanks guys for listening. I've been here with In the Dark.
Keep it safe, guys.
Obsidian Fury.
In a bit, going.
And Zen.
Take it easy.
And it's been your hostess with the mostest, Creatively Anzi, this MG podcast. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And also let us know what games you wish that had better launches and that people maybe should come and take a look at. Because sometimes, there's a bad launch and it comes back. You never know.